Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Chris Elliott Show. Bridget Neisler is with us in our first part of our program. Later, you'll hear in the program us say that, and actually, it's the trickery of how we tape this thing, but we'll admit that this week. We haven't done that, but we actually do a couple segments before we do this segment. But Bridget, we'll get on her a little bit by not being here, but she actually is here. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, Zach O'Kelly, welcome back to the Chris Elliott Show. Our next to last program, we'll join Coach Elliott next week right here in our press box studio, is how I like to call it, here at Wildcat Stadium, and we'll talk about the season, recap it, and then we'll preview next year. 6 home games, by the way, next year, that we'll bring up and talk about a little bit later as well. But welcome back aboard, sir. The Cats, I thought, really played well. Unfortunately, we lost 30-22 to the former number 1 team in the nation. They were in the teens when they came in here the other day, but certainly a really good football team. But boy, the Cats gave them all they wanted and almost pulled off the big upset.
They did. The Cats played very well. I was very impressed. Both sides of the ball played very well. There was a few chances that they let go by, but other than that, it was two heavyweights slugging each other out.
It really was. And I think Bethel's progression, I think it was pretty evident last week how much better this football team is now than they were just several weeks ago. They really progressed. That's what a coach looks for, and I think that's what we announcers, we get paid to sort of analyze those kind of things as well. But we go to Walensky, Georgia to take on Ryan Hart. We'll talk to Coach Elliott about them in just a minute. Brenton Davis is going to join us as well, the linebacker who had 13 tackles and 3 sacks. Boy, he really had a great game, the senior from Memphis Frazier. But Walensky, Georgia against Ryan Hart, the Eagles, they're a different kind of team than what we saw here at Wildcat Stadium. They run the option. They run a lot of misdirection. They're really tough to defend. They're averaging 56 points a game offensively.
Well, the option's tough to defend anyway because your defensive players have got to stay home and wait and let the play develop and then react instead of react to what's going on.
Hard to be patient in that kind of defensive scheme of things, isn't it?
It really is, especially when you get hyped up and ready to hit somebody and make a play. It just takes a little bit of discipline to stay home.
Be the third meeting between the two programs. They beat us 41-36 down there a couple of years ago. Came in here last year, put 63 on the board, 63-35, and certainly let's hope that's not the case this week. Any surprises in the league this past week before we get to our Zach O'Kelly, the guru of Pick'em, setting on 49 wins. He's looking for only 1 to hit that 50 mark. And any thoughts about games last week? Of course, the big one was the big scoring game.
Well, that was which I figured it would be a shootout. I picked it 21.
I didn't think it'd be that many though.
I picked it to be 21-20, but it turned out to be a 70-56 with 1,250 total offensive yards in the game. So that was a offensive showcase.
And some of the Eagles over at Reinhardt may be watching this. Boy, hats off to you. You put 56 on the board, but Jacob Russell, we had him earlier. That Campbellsville team is tough to stop. 70-56 in that ball game.
And that's two teams that do well at what they do best. Campbellsville throws the ball very well. Reinhardt, on the other hand, runs the ball very well. Yeah. Very, very deceptive offense.
Well, I believe looking back at some of our notes, Reinhardt put 56 on the board and didn't score in the third quarter. All their scoring came in the first, second, and fourth quarter. Campbellsville awfully tough. Reinhardt, this team, though, really, really good. They do a lot of things right on the offensive side, and they'll give us all we want defensively as well. So good luck to the Cats. No local Wildcat vision for you, but we'll have the link up on our website at BethelAthletics.com. Go over to the right to the schedule bar where it says football, the schedule, and you'll see a link that Zach will put up there. We don't have it as we tape this program, but he'll have that up there later this week. Well, let's get to this week, the Pick'ems, and I think for the most part, maybe it's because we're winding up the season. Maybe it's because you've just got so darn good at doing this. But the pick's not as difficult this week, apparently. And if you don't hit 50, we need to fire you.
True. I'll agree with that.
Our producer director, the lovely Bridget Neisler, agrees. Who do you want to start with?
Now, first off, though, I got to say Bridget was right on hers last week.
She was.
She picked all the winners.
She said all the winners. The ones that will win, score the most points will win. Thank you, Bridget, for going out on that proverbial limb. Let's start with Campbellsville and Cumberland's, first of all, both open. 4 teams ranked in the top 25, and it's been that pretty well that way all year long. And you've got a couple looking on the outside, looking in, peering in, that will be out of the playoff picture. But number 12, Campbellsville, has the open date. Cumberland's Kentucky, which was beaten by Georgetown in Williamsburg, and that pretty well eliminated both of them from going to the playoffs. But Cumberland's has the open date, so their seasons are Campbellsville's regular season is over, and Cumberland's season is over now. Let's start with Union at number 25, Faulkner, down in Montgomery, Alabama.
That's going to be, I think it's going to be one of the big matchups for Faulkner, see if they can bounce back again. They went 6-3 on the season. They're pretty much just playing for hoping some teams up above them in the rankings slip up, and they can sneak up in there. But I don't think they're too far down, I believe, to sneak in the playoffs. But Faulkner will go out on a win this week, 48-13.
Not that I'm really smart or anything, but my 25 years experience of the NAI football wars and 24, 25 of those broadcasting, Faulkner, despite the fact they could put 80 on the board and they're still not going to make it, it's just very tough. They let a couple of games get away that they probably are thinking down in Montgomery this week. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, and they probably would be in the playoff hunt. But they had the leads in a couple of games that they let get away. I'm going with Faulkner in this one as well. What was your score?
48-13.
48-13. I'll pretty well agree with that. Cumberland, Tennessee at number 14, Lindsey Wilson. Lindsey still fighting. They have to win this game. Cumberland's not going to be a patsy. They never are. But Lindsey should be heavily favored, and they are.
And like I said, Lindsey's playing, and we said that last week in the pregame. Lindsey Wilson's still playing fighting for their playoff lives, and with Campbellsville kind of shaking up the mix even more, that kind of helped them out.
Right.
So, Lindsey Wilson and Reinhardt are both in the same situation. Got to have a win this week to keep the playoff hopes alive. So, Lindsey Wilson at home, I've got them favored over Campbellsville.
What's your score?
I'm sorry, Cumberland. 45-24.
I agree with that. I'm pretty well close. You and I did this in the office before we started taping, and we were pretty close. I think I had it like 41-21 or something like that. Kentucky Christian at Bluefield, 2-1-9 teams, so they're playing for pride here, and they're playing for their seniors.
And Bluefield will be their senior day as well, so it'll be a pretty good trip for Kentucky Christian over into Virginia there to play Bluefield. I've got to like Bluefield in this one.
What's your score?
35-24.
35-24. Really like the folks in Bluefield. They treated me great last year. You're in the press box and you're doing the game in one state and your car is parked less than 150 yards behind you and it's in another state. It's always pretty neat. But boy, it is beautiful out there this time of the year. So your score again was what?
35-24.
I pretty well concur with that one as well. I'm telling you, it's scary that we're thinking so much alike. Georgetown at Pikeville. Bill Cronin's ball club is going to finish 6-4 with a win here. They started 0-4. The cream always rises to the top, but in this case, it's going to be too little, too late.
Well, and it's like Coach Chris Nelson says as well, the proof's in the pudding. You look at Georgetown. They start out 0-4. They've reeled off 5 straight in pretty impressive fashion. So.
And tough schedule to open up 0-4 too. Let's give them a little
definitely a tough schedule.
But Coach Cronin's still one of the great coaches in the country.
But I like Georgetown on the road here, 27-17 over Pikeville.
27-17 down to the eastern mountains of Pikeville, down there with the Bears. But the final game, Bethel at number 13, Reinhardt. Your keys for a Bethel win, and then your thoughts. What's your final score in the game?
The defense has got to be disciplined this week. They've got to stay home and let the play develop and then react. And as intense as our defense has played the last couple of games, that's going to be a huge key, I think. You look at like Brent Davis this week had an outstanding home game this week. Vic had a great game. A handful of guys had a great game, and they were just right on the ball almost instantly. So they'll have to be a little more disciplined this week against the options. So. But I've got to like Reinhardt here on the road.
Okay, what's your score?
38-21.
38-21. I hope the Cats, I hope that's reversed. But this is a big ball game, and for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's a big ball game for our 13 seniors and our 2 senior managers. Second of all, it's to build for those juniors, sophomores, and yes, even freshmen and maybe some of the recruits coming in to build on for next year. I know 4-7. We're 4-6 right now, so 4-7, 5-6, take your pick. But 5-6 not only sounds better, but it builds some momentum for spring ball next year, builds for your recruiting. So this is a big ball game for the Cats. I'd like to see us go down there and really play with a wild, abandoned kind of feeling about it. Just fly to the football, nothing to lose, everything to gain from the standpoint of knocking off and playing spoiler.
That would be huge for the Wildcats if they could go down, and which Reinhardt's sitting at number 13. And right on the outside of the playoffs, just right, they'd probably be the next team in. So. That'd be real huge to go down and to upset Reinhardt there and spoil the postseason looks.
I would invite any of you to come to our SID office before any football game here. It's just 100 yards right over that way, and you'll see wild abandon as we get things ready to come to the football stadium. And unfortunately, not back here again this year, but maybe hopefully next year with Wildcat Vision, and who knows, maybe even radio. But the bottom line is certainly good luck to the Cats. Safe travels, eat well. They'll pull out Friday at 9 o'clock, stay in Walensky, and then play there Saturday, and then safe travels and Godspeed on the way home as well. When we come back, Brenton Davis, senior linebacker from Memphis Frazier, will join us. And then Chris Elliott will join us. Our producer-director is the lovely Bridget Neisler. For Zach O'Kelly, I'm Diamond Dave. Back with Brenton Davis right after this. Stay with us. And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Wildcat Vision's version of the Chris Elliott Show. Our, next to last show. We'll do a recap next week with Coach Elliott and sort of recap the season and get ready for the next year coming up next year in 2016. And welcome back. I'm Dave McCulley, Zach O'Kelly. Not sure what happened to our producer director, the lovely Bridget Neisler. She's a no-show this week, but we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. We are joined now by Brenton Davis, a very fine senior linebacker for the Wildcats. And Brenton, great to have you on with us. And I'm telling you, buddy, you had a fantastic game last week.
Thank you. You know, I try to do whatever for my other seniors too. You know, me, I'm not a real selfish guy, so I do whatever for my team, especially for my seniors.
Yeah, you've waited in the wings a little bit early in your career here, and of course, we've had some great linebackers come through here. Tyler Murray comes to mind, assistant coach now, grad assistant. But you've really made the best of these last couple of years. You've really played well for us, and I know that was one you guys really wanted, and a bittersweet day being senior day.
Sir. Yes, sir. Senior day, it was a tough game. We fought. I feel like we fought, you know, despite of what everybody else saying. I feel like we fought hard, you know, offense and defensively. So,
and a game we very well could have won, and not putting the monkey on the offense's back, but obviously we'll talk to Coach Elliott in a few minutes and let some chances get away early in the game, didn't we?
Yes, sir. You know, I feel like, you know, life is about taking chances. You know, we left some chances out. You know, you got to take some chances.
Sure.
You know, we got on the 2-yard line. You know, we didn't do much on that, but you know, it's still, you know, that's not the cost of the game.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point off camera before we were on the air. You brought up a good point. There was a couple of defensive plays. There was a fumble that we probably should have come up with, and you were sort of saying, okay, if the defense does a little bit better job there, we might win the game as well. So it's both sides, isn't it?
It's both sides. You know, it's both sides. Everybody can blame it on the offense all they want to.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Some people blame, you know, saying their team on their defense, but you know, me, I just see the whole team as one. You know, if you know what I'm saying, the offense lost, defense lost, we lost as one. It's a whole team. You know?
Absolutely. 13 tackles and 3 sacks. Brenton Davis, the senior from Frazier, went to Frazier High School, man, down in my old neck of the woods, down in Shelby County. Talk about your high school career and what brought you to Bethel.
My high school career, it was real fun to me. You know, we as a football team, we didn't win much, but I developed, you know, a brotherhood with a lot of people on the team, so I decided to just stick with it. And you know, Bethel, like Coach Phelps called me one time, you know. After that first time he called me, he just kept calling, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like he was very, you know what I'm saying, interested in me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He showed me that he wanted me to be here. You know, that's all I'm looking for, you know what I'm saying, somebody to stand behind me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I can come play for a good program. And he was just explaining it to me. You know, I came with 2 other guys, is Adrian Jones and Elliott McClure. So we all came, you know, when I found out I had somebody to come with, you know what I'm saying, I was all for it.
Yeah, sure.
So when I got here, you know, I was a red shirt freshman, so I red shirted my first year.
Right.
And I really needed that red shirt because Coach Tillman red shirt, and plus I was coming off I had broke my ankle my senior year, and I only played a half of my senior year.
Okay.
So that's why this senior year is very important to me.
Good.
So,
well, you look at your career. What was the biggest transition I see as an announcer through the years and as an SID? The speed of the game at every level, from high school to college, right onto the pros. It just takes some time to get adjusted to, doesn't it?
Yes, high school speed is way slower than college speed.
Yeah.
You know, if I can, you know, I'm fortunate enough to see what the NFL speed like or CFL speed like, you know, I'll most definitely take that opportunity. But I got to say, me transitioning, Coach Phelps was a big help, you know, because Coach Phelps don't say too much to me, but when he do, it's serious. So I take heed for everything he tell me to do.
Yeah.
So
I think the O-line and the D-line and maybe some of the secondary, Zach O'Kelly, some of those guys are going to be mad at us because it's really turned into almost a linebacker show, which you guys have had such big numbers. But we've talked to the previous guest, some of the backers, that our D-line's really had a good year. But their responsibility is to take that offensive line on to allow you guys to get to the ball, isn't it?
Yes, sir. As a defense, your defensive line is just like the offensive line to your quarterback. You know, they put out for your linebacker. So anytime I get, you know what I'm saying, any chance that I get to spend with the D lineman, I do.
Sure.
You know, like Shajeski, you know, it would have been a big help if the bonus could have been out there. You know what I'm saying? But Shajeski, he plays hard out. You know, he always tell me, like, when it's game time, Shajeski, it's not Shajeski anymore. It's not Shajeski anymore. He talk to himself. He be so, you know what I'm saying, pumped to the point where I have to get in and calm down sometimes.
Well, we called your name a lot this past week. Did Lindsey do anything different than what we thought they would do? I know they went to another quarterback, so that was a little bit of an adjustment.
Well, yeah, that's the only thing that I just seen was different. Right. We knew they was going to come out, trick plays. We knew they was going to take shots down the field. Sure. You know what I'm saying? But I can say our corner really improved.
Right. They really have. I think our secondary has been one of the biggest areas that we've improved from the day one or week one when we had the big win up in St. Louis right on to the now. Ryan Hart, Reinhardt, they're a different kind of team. They run that option. You pretty well know what they're going to do, but they're still hard to defend, aren't they?
Hey, anytime you run an option, it's hard to defend.
What makes it so much different than a conventional offense that you see more of, the pro set and those kind of things?
Well, me personally, I feel like, it's hard for them to stop them because they had 2 years under their belt just to practice.
Right, yeah.
So anytime you get 2 years together just to practice, and everybody.
And that's a great point Brenton brings up, folks. I don't think many people realize, or some people don't realize, a relatively new program, but they had 2 years to bring kids in and sort of practice before they played building the new program. Go ahead.
Sir. It's just like, just like the Campbellsville people. You got people that's seniors now that just was there from their freshman year.
Sure.
If half of the people that I came in with, me, the Bonins, Vic, came in with, we'll probably be a, national championship team.
Yeah, absolutely. With Jacob Russell of Campbellsville, we keep saying he's the best quarterback we've seen all year. Was he the best you've seen?
It's kind of, he's a nice quarterback. It's kind of.
Now, something I haven't asked the other backers, and we don't have to go into great detail, but is there a little smack talk with the linebackers peering over the quarterback from the other side? You guys like to try to get them rattled sometime?
Anytime we play football, it's smack talk.
It's part of the game, isn't it?
It's part of the game. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
I never played a football game.
Yeah, sure.
It's not no smack talk.
Absolutely. Well, it's been great to have you here. What are the keys for a big win over Reinhardt to upset them? They're playing for a lot. They're still playing for their playoff lives. They're still in the top 15, and certainly we love to play spoiler. What's the big key?
To play your key, play your role, no miss assignments.
The assignments, yeah.
Anytime you play an option team, that's what they make up for.
And that's the biggest thing in an option attack. You've got the old adage of staying at home, reading the keys. Those are big, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Especially in this game.
Yeah.
Especially in this game.
What's been your major here? What's your major?
Criminal justice.
Right. And your plans after you graduate?
I'm planning on going to the police academy. Probably go to Texas though.
Okay. All right.
Stay, in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Been here too long. I feel like I've been here all my life.
Well, we wish you the very best. Fine young man and a fine player for Bethel. And it's a bittersweet day. We will not have Wildcat Vision, but we will have the link up on the site how you can watch Brenton and the backers and how the Cats can go to Reinhardt, Walensky, Georgia, a lovely little town and a nice little stadium there to play in. It's only the third time we've met them. They beat us there 41-36 the first time we went there 2 years ago, and then last year came in and beat us pretty good here. But we did score 35 points. Just couldn't handle that option, but maybe it'll be a new day this coming Saturday in Walensky. Brenton, I want to thank you first of all for being with us today. I want to congratulate you on a fine career here and wish you Godspeed and really hope you have a tremendous life after you leave Bethel, sir.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Dan.
Brenton Davis, number 14. We'll come back, and Coach Elliott will talk about Brenton and his compadres. We'll talk about the Cats and the Eagles over in Walensky, Georgia, here on the Chris Elliott Show. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody, to the Chris Elliott Show, and the star himself, Chris Elliott, is with us. We have a new producer-director this week, the guy that joined us earlier that's sitting on 49 wins, and he's been grinning the whole time that he's been directing and producing the show. He's not anywhere near as good-looking as Bridget Nicely, I might add, but Coach Zach O'Kelly, 49 wins going in this week, so his goal was to hit 50. I'd be shocked if he doesn't, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's pretty much a lock.
Coach Chris Elliott joins us here on the Chris Elliott Show. Coach, we're going to do one more next week, if you'd be okay to grace us with your presence, sort of recapping the season and getting ready for next year. And let's hope we're talking about a big win. But before we get to Reinhardt and the Eagles, let's talk about last week. I thought we played a heck of a ball game. I don't know, Coach. You may disagree. I think from start to finish, and I know we didn't finish in some scoring opportunities we had, but I thought the game was about as well as we played all year against a really good ball club that had been number one for 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
we played well.
We did, and we started out a little slow. Of course, we missed some opportunities to put some points on the board early, and we gave up 17 before halftime. But we came out and played. I mean, even though we were down 17-0, we were still doing some good things, and then came out in the second half and played much, much better, and had a shot at it, and at the end we just didn't do enough to get it done. Before I go over to the offense, I want to start with the defense. We gave up 17 in the first half, only 13 in the second half. I think this defense is really, really gelling, really playing. And from the D line to the backers to the secondary, the reserves, everyone, I think we really have gelled into a pretty good defensive ball club. Yeah, we have, and I mean, unfortunately, the numbers or the wins and the wins don't necessarily reflect that. You can tell by some of the production that we're getting defensively in terms of the turnovers and the things like that have been occurring, or the takeaways that we've had the last few weeks. That's a result of that group coming together. And of course it was a mix, even coming into the season, of older and younger guys. And in order to have that unit play as well as it possibly can, all 11 have to be playing well together. And the last few weeks we've gotten to the point where they are playing well together.
And I could go through the lineup, and I mean, you start with Jerry Bradford, and you start with all the guys up front, then go back to Mir and Hamilton and some of the new kids, some of the new faces. I mean, I just think they have really gelled together, and I take my hat off to all of them in the fact that I think they've really developed, and that's what a coach wants to see. Mm-hmm. On the offensive side, Braxton gets the start. Braxton Vargas, a sophomore, carry out with the bum ankle. I thought all in all he played pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, short of the big errors in the first half, the 2 interceptions that hurt. But I mean, all in all, I thought he did a pretty good job of handling it, really playing in his third extended amount of playing time. He missed a couple easy throws here and there, but he also did a lot of really positive things too along the way.
Sure, Quincy's pretty magical, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that you can get on the ball in any situation, and he's going to find a way to make something happen.
I remember in the article I wrote for the website, I put behind the second half running of Walden, the Cats made a run from the visitors from Columbia, but that 15-point third quarter, I don't know if you know it, folks, that's the only points that's been scored on them in the third quarter all year by anyone.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah,
but
they were 83-0. They'd outscored their opponents in the third quarter coming into our game. The kids showed a lot of spunk. Coaching staff did to get back in that thing.
Well, I mean, and you go in and you talk at halftime about, the things that you need to do. And, obviously we needed to come out and start the second half, on a high note. And, we were able to do that to our guys' credit. And, like I said, we put ourselves in position to have a chance. And, that's all you can ask for.
He winds up, Walden does, with over 100 yards. And then you have Devin. Quincy actually had 136, and Devin had 84 in the ball game. And let's credit not only those kids and their hard running and their nifty running, but let's credit the big O-line. Boy, I thought they really, they came to play in that third quarter, I thought.
Yeah,
pushing people around.
Yeah, and we, I don't remember what our numbers were total, but I mean, those
pretty
guys
even numbers for both, 445 to 459, something like that.
Yeah, and we just, we were able to do some good things up front to open up holes, and of course, Devin and Quincy, they can do some special things on their own, but those guys up front have to put them in position to at least slip through a crack, and then they can do their thing.
Now, as you were coming into our press box, Coach Elliott, into our press box studio, Brenton Davis was leaving. 14 tackles, 3 sacks. Kid was the senior from Frazier was great.
Yeah, I mean, and he's. Well, he had great effort the other day, but I mean, he's really put together a pretty solid senior season. Coach Fells and I were talking about how, we've seen a lot of the things that we've been working with since he got here, in terms of the techniques and fundamentals of what he's doing, and now we're seeing it happen on the game field, and that's one of the reasons why he's putting up the numbers he is because he's comfortable with what we're trying to get him to do, and it's paying off.
They really did. We said a moment ago, the show's almost turned into linebacker U here, and we don't mean to slight the other folks, but Vic had 11, Jensen had 9, and Max had 7 tackles in the ball game. So all in all, the Cats give a great effort. Come up a little short. I'd like to say we just ran out of time. Had the ball down 8 and had a chance to move, and then we just sort of ran out of time. Enough of that. Enough of the Lindsey Wilson game. Let's get to Reinhardt. They run that option, and they run it well, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of option, a little bit of single wing T. You get a lot of different looks, but I mean, they're going to run the ball, and there's definitely no secret about that. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to touch the ball. Yeah. Excuse me. So it's different formations, different looks. All those kind of things that we have to prepare for this week.
I know we went over there a couple of years ago. I was there doing the game on the radio side, and it was a 41-36 game, a game that we could have won. And I mean, it was just back and forth. Some turnovers in the ball game. But, talk about them. They come in and they're averaging on the ground 355.8. I mean, and in the air they do it enough to keep you honest. But they're averaging 56 points a game. They really rung up a lot of points. I mean, reading the assignment, staying at home, all the cliche things that we announcers like to say, but in reality, it's the gospel truth, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's exactly the truth,
yeah.
And I mean, if you're on, one side, you can't necessarily be chasing the other side, because if you do that, something's coming back.
Yeah.
So you really have to be patient.
A lot of misdirection, those kind of things.
Yeah, you'll get your counters and, sweeps, and I don't want to say reverses, but, you get a lot of different things that, we're not used to seeing, and they're really good at it. Obviously, because they're scoring 50-some points a game, and they're not just one-dimensional with the run. I mean, they don't throw it a ton, but when they do throw it, it's pretty effective. And I mean, their quarterback has put up some numbers throwing the ball this year.
Pressure's still on them. They're still playing for a lot. Of course, we're playing for a lot. We're playing for pride. We want to close out with a win, but we go in a little loosey-goosey and just say, hey, we're going to show up and smash mouth you the best we can and do the best, and ever who wins is the best team. But they're the ones with the pressure on them this week.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've obviously got, still an opportunity to, to get an at-large bid in the playoffs.
Right.
But, our job, I guess, is to go down there and, try to make sure that doesn't happen.
Right. And you look at the conference, I mean, the Georgetown win at Cumberland sort of eliminates them. They're out of it. Then you look at Campbellsville, you look at Lindsay, and you look at Reinhardt. Those are the three left standing still to represent the conference. Keys for a big win in Walensky, Georgia.
Well, I mean, obviously our defense has got to continue to play the way they've been playing. I mean, taking away the run or, shutting down the run or slowing down the run, whatever you want to say. We've got to curtail what they're used to doing there, and almost make them one-dimensional to where they have to pass.
Right.
If we can continue to take the ball away like we've been the last few weeks, that would be, really good, because if they don't have it, they're not able to score. So, those are some, pretty important things. Obviously, we're going to have to be, gap sound on defense, tackle the ball well, those kind of things to stop the run. Offensively, I mean, they're, an experienced defense as well. I mean, this team, as a whole has been together for a few years now. And I think that's why you're seeing the results that they're getting. And really, since they've started.
And Bretton brought up a point, they had 2 years to get ready, too.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. So I think you're seeing, the results of them putting that thing together the right way. But they're, 3-3 defense, a little bit of 4-man stuff. So, I mean, nothing out of the ordinary. We're just going to have to, do our thing against it. I mean, obviously we're going to try to run the ball and, put the ball in our playmakers' hands and, do the things that, have been working for us lately and, just go down there and put forth a great effort and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll put a cap on the season with Coach Elliott next week, but before we sign off this week and our next to last week, obviously with the shows, I do want to say credit our fans. Big crowd here. I didn't expect it not to be, but a big crowd. Nice weather day, relatively fall day. Beautiful day out here with all the parents and the families coming on senior day. You said goodbye to 13 seniors and 2 managers, and I'd be remiss not to let you just talk about how important those folks have been and thank our fans. Only 4 home games, but boy, for the most part, they turned out every week this time.
Well, I mean, that's pretty typical. I mean, and we greatly appreciate the fact that people do come out and support us.
Right.
And our guys love playing here, and of course, they love playing here when there's a lot of people here that are making a lot of noise. And unfortunately, last week was senior day, and that comes every year. It just always seems to come faster and faster each season. But the seniors that we have that will be finishing up this week, I mean, they've all done great things for the program and great things as individuals here, not just on the football field, but in the classroom and in their personal growth as well. And I mean, to look at that group as a whole and to see where they were when they got here and to see what they've become, over and above the football things, you can't help but be proud of the things that they've accomplished. And, the positive thing is that what they've done here is obviously not going to be the end, because they're all going to move on to bigger and better and do much, larger things once they leave Mackenzie.
And out with those 15 seniors with the voice of Wildcat Stadium, Kent Jones. He called his last game here. He and Jimmy Arnold, I'd be remiss not to thank them for their efforts as well. And I know that when we came back up at, he came back up at halftime and we did the little spell with him. I know he had tears in his eyes, but hats off to your lovely wife, Lindsay. Did a great job putting the senior stuff together in the band and the cheer and dance team and the seniors. It was a really nice day, except for the final score, and hopefully we can turn that around this coming Saturday down in Walensky. Coach, thanks for joining us. Good luck to you. Safe travels, first of all, and as I always tell you, safe travels and eat well.
Yes, sir.
I just started saying that the last couple of weeks, but anyway, that's the case. That's the Chris Elliott Show for this week. When we come back next week, we'll have Coach Elliott on, and we'll recap the season, hopefully talking about a big finale and a win, and then we'll set the stage for the upcoming season in Wildcat football history as well. For Zach O'Kelly, our producer director, and for my co-host as well, Mr. O'Kelly, and for Coach Elliott, we appreciate Brent Davis joining us. I'm Diamond Dave McCulley. Until next week, so long, everybody.